Imagine plotting revenge, so patient it takes 20 years to finish. Not 20 minutes of rage. Not even 20 days of planning. 2 decades. That's the story you're about to hear, and by the end, you'll understand why some grudges don't fade with time. They just get colder, sharper, and more dangerous. It starts in Munich, 1972. The Olympics are underway, the world is watching, and for a few weeks it feels like the planet has agreed to just get along. Then, in the early hours of September 5th, 8 armed men scale a fence into the Olympic Village and take 11 Israeli athletes and coaches hostage. What follows is a botched rescue attempt at an airport, broadcast live to nearly 1 billion people, that ends with all 11 hostages dead. The group behind it calls itself Black September. Here's the thing about trauma at that scale. It doesn't just create grief. It creates a debt. And in the Israeli government, that debt gets assigned a name: Operation Wrath of God. Prime Minister Golda Meir authorizes a covert unit inside Mossad with one job: track down everyone connected to planning the Munich attack, wherever they are, however long it takes, and make sure they never do it again. Now, if this were a movie, you'd expect what happens next to be fast. Guns blazing, credits rolling. But real revenge doesn't work like an action montage. It works like a slow-motion chess game played across a dozen countries, where most of the moves are just waiting. The first target is a man named Wael Zweiter, living quietly in Rome, translating Arabic literature into Italian. He looks like nobody. That's the point. Half the men on Mossad's list have spent years building ordinary lives specifically so nobody would suspect them of what they did in 1972. Zweiter is killed outside his apartment in October, just weeks after Munich. It's fast, it's clean, and it sends an unmistakable message. This list is real, and nowhere is safe. But the next name on the list makes it painfully clear that nowhere is safe cuts both ways. In Lillehammer, Norway, the Mossad team gets bad intelligence and kills the wrong man, a Moroccan waiter who has nothing to do with Munich at all. It's a catastrophic mistake. Several agents are arrested, and the entire operation nearly collapses under international scrutiny. This is the part revenge stories never tell you. Pursuing it perfectly, for years, without ever getting it wrong, might be the hardest part of the whole thing. And yet, the operation doesn't stop. It slows down. It goes quiet. Years pass. Targets change their names, change their faces, change their countries. One planner of the Munich attack, Ali Hassan Salameh, nicknamed the Red Prince, becomes a ghost, protected by layers of security so thick that even identifying which car he's in becomes a multi-year intelligence project. Mossad agents pose as tourists, married couples, business people, just to get close enough to watch him from a cafe window. It takes until 1979, 7 years after Munich, before a car bomb in Beirut finally catches up to him. By this point, you have to ask, at what point does justice just become obsession? When do you stop counting the years and start wondering if the mission has outlived the moment that started it? For the people running Operation Wrath of God, the answer seems to be never, not until the list is finished. And the list doesn't finish quickly. Some names take 15 years to close out. One target, Atef Psizo, isn't killed until 1992, 20 years after Munich, in Paris, shot outside a hotel after a quiet dinner. 20 years is longer than some of the victims of the original attack had even been alive. 2 entire decades where somewhere, in some government building, a file stayed open, a name stayed on a list, and someone's job was simply to remember. What makes this story so unsettling isn't the violence. Countries have been doing violence to each other forever. It's the patience. It's the idea that an entire covert apparatus could sustain a single mission for 20 years without losing the thread, without the world moving on, making them move on too. Most of us can't hold a grudge through a bad breakup for 20 months, let alone 20 years, across a dozen countries, through failed operations and international incidents, and entirely new generations of intelligence officers inheriting a mission they didn't start. And that's really the unsettling truth this story leaves you with. Revenge, done at this scale, stops being an emotion and becomes an institution. It gets written into policy, passed down through agencies, funded through budgets, planned across decades, long after the rage that started it has cooled into something colder and far more permanent. Somewhere, a government file finally closed after 20 years. And the question worth sitting with is this: Was justice finally served, or had the mission simply outlived the meaning it started with? If you enjoyed the video, please consider liking and subscribing as well as turning on your notifications. Thanks for watching.